Today is the second half of the two-part series where last time I did the most disappointing rides upon my first ride, but now I'm going to do the most surprising. I did the negative side, but now I wanted to show some love to the rides that I didn't really have many expectations going in, but actually blew me away. For all of these rides, it doesn't exactly mean that it's a good ride, but for most of them it does. It just surprised me in a way, but let's just hop right into it. Last place is Hagrid's. This may just look like a normal family coaster, but has one of the craziest tricks out of all roller coasters. The theming is out of this world and legitimately could be argued for the best themed ride at Islands, even as a roller coaster. Every room is so detailed that I could not believe it, and the on-ride experience itself is actually crazy. It has 7 launches, which is cool, and a drop track, which threw me through a loop the first time around, since I had no idea that the thing was even on the ride. This thing is the most full package ride that you could think of, with theming, launches, cool elements, and just so much more, and 12-year-old me could not believe it. Back-to-back Islands of Adventure rides, and Velocicoaster is next. This is a ride that I have at my number 2 overall, and I know that there were still a lot of people talking very highly about this ride, but even after all of that and after my first ride, I still thought it was spectacular. The theming in the queue and in the Raptor paddock is so much better than almost any other coaster theming out there, and it really enhances the experience so much. But the layout itself is actually really good, having many new age elements, which at the time was my very first Zero-G stall, Outer Bank, and many other elements. All of that and the element that still surprises me to this day with the Mosasaurus roll, it just blows everything out of the water. It's so good. Next up is Fahrenheit. This is a ride that I had very small expectations for, since I heard that it was fine, but not super good. I also heard it was kind of rough, but upon my first ride, I was pleasantly surprised how it rode. The ride starts with a bang of a first shot, which is like Mavericks in a way with its ejector airtime and beyond vertical drop. Then the inversions are all pretty fun, having some pretty intense moments, but the ones that surprised me the most were the corkscrews with how whippy they were. I thought Fahrenheit was the best looper in the park, even above Great Bear, with this mix of fun but weird inversions and a couple of ejector pops that definitely caught me off guard on the first time around. The 7th spot goes to Manta. Manta is one of the few flyers in the United States, and since this was my first ever flyer, I didn't really know what to expect or how it would ride or feel or anything like that, but it was such a unique experience. And it's safe to say that my first ride was really good, being one of my favorites of mine now, with the unique elements and mix of different inversions. The whole time you're looking down, so it's almost like you're getting hang time the entire ride while flying through the course, and the inversions are so smooth and so fun. Then the pretzel loop also just blew me away, being how intense it was, and making me almost black out, and it's still one of the most intense roller coaster moments to this day that I've ridden. 6th place goes to Skyrush's Drop Alone. I know this ride itself was going to be good, and for the most part, it wasn't super surprising, but the drop itself was absolutely diabolical and insane. The start of the drop is pretty regular, being pretty comparable to Millennium Force in my opinion, where you get some good flow ejector airtime. But halfway down, you hit this sort of hitch or something. I don't really know what you call it, but it just sends you flying. You go from pretty good airtime to some RMC level ejector airtime, and it's so violent and feels like it's just trying to send you straight and flying into the atmosphere. Amazing airtime on this thing. It was definitely the most surprising part of the ride for sure. Up next is Alpengeist. Alpengeist, from my prior knowledge, was a pretty middle-of-the-pack invert when it came to how people perceived it and liked it overall, and I had ridden both Banshee and Raptor, which is pretty much the 2 favorited inverts in the world, so I thought it was going to be worse than those 2, but I actually liked Alpengeist more. Like I said, I actually preferred Alpengeist more than these, and that was because of the sheer power and size it had, which was nothing like Raptor or Banshee had to offer. The sequence of the drop, Immelman, loop, and Cobra roll legitimately had my vision in shambles, and my body was just crushed by the insane positives. After the ride, I had to sit down and think about my life. That's how intense it was, and it was so surprising. 4th place is Pipeline. I rode this coaster when it first opened all the way back in 2023, and many people had their doubts, including me, for many reasons. First, I did not hear many good things about stand-up coasters of the past, being that they're just uncomfortable and not great rides. But when I rode Pipeline, it wasn't anything like those other stand-up coasters at all. First, it had many airtime moments, which is such a unique sensation that is still one of my favorites to this day, and I have not felt it on any other roller coaster. Then the launch and the mix of positives on top just created a very well-rounded coaster that is securely in my top 15. All of this was a huge surprise on my first ride, and now I am begging to see more surf coasters since I think they can be so good. First of the top 3 is Tombili. This might sound like a strange ride to have this high, being it's really not that great of a ride, but my first ride was insane. These 40 free spins are not really talked about a lot since they aren't really good rides and they're just cloned everywhere, so many people just skip over them. But they do have the off chance of being some of the most chaotic rides that you can find if you get a lot of flips during your ride, and that is definitely what I got. I legitimately flipped a good 10 times, and going down these drops backwards while flipping with insane ejector airtime was something that I had no expectations for. My later rides were a lot worse, being that I didn't get as many flips, but man, that first ride with 10 flips was just, it was peak. Runner-up is going to Top Thrill 2. I knew going into it was going to be a good ride, but it just had too many flaws for me to truly believe it was going to be an amazing ride, but it really was that good. The pure height and speed was truly unlike anything I'd experienced, and I had ridden Millennium Force, the other Giga in the park. Those sensations were truly amazing and even more intense than I expected, and the pull up into the top hat and the airtime at the top was also incredible. All of that plus it was not that short of a ride, which was one of the flaws I had going into it, and it all just came out to be a pleasantly surprising experience. Number 1 for me has to go to Grizzly. I had zero expectations going into this ride, and Grizzly was a top 5 ride from my summer trip, which if you would have told me that before I even went on the trip, I would have never believed you. This ride just has everything that you want in a wooden coaster, and it's amazing at displaying all of those traits. It's smooth, being a glossy smooth ride for the most part, having amazing ejector airtime and flutter across the course, and having some good laterals that are very, very strong. The drop and the 2 ejector hills and the helixes are some of the best elements I've experienced on a Woody, and it blew my mind after getting off for the first time, and it is well deserving of the number 1 spot. Thanks for watching. Tell me what ride you loved off your first ride, but other than that, have a good day.